of studying. And for many of you guys, when you sit down to study, when you even think about studying, instantly there's pain, right? There's like a death grip all over your body where you feel terrible. Your motivation gone out the window, right? You want to procrastinate, you want to push it off, you want to push back on it, right? You don't want to study, you'll do anything other than study, right? We've got to fix that, guys. Studying doesn't need to be painful. And so, what we're going to talk about in this session, guys, is something you guys can do to flip that on its head and take studying from something that's painful, that's arduous, that's like adversarial, to something that you look forward to and that makes you feel awesome. All right, so let's talk about it. Anna, what up? Crystal, what is up? So, let's talk about it. When it comes to, we're live action, y'all. We're out here in front of the hospital, so I apologize. People are gonna be walking by, things are gonna be happening, but it's okay. Eddie, what up? So when it comes to painful studying, I've been there. I know what that is. I know what that is. When I started college, guys, and I was a terrible student, I would literally, and this is like, I think this is, people talk about the difficulty of transitioning to college. It's the same. We're talking about this a lot right now in my study group. Is people having like the quote unquote difficulty transitioning to medical school, and it's the same set of difficulties in that when you change environments, you go from high school to college, or you change environments, you go from college to grad school, or you change environments, you go from college to medical school. What is happening is that all of the infrastructure you've built in your life, all of the routine, all of the people, all of the habits you've had for so long are immediately interrupted because you're in this entirely new environment with a new set of demands, a new set of requirements on you, and at the same time, you were trying to find a new routine, right? A new infrastructure. Who was that that just said hi? Vanessa, what up? Kasim in the building, right? And so everything is thrown out there. And so what happens is you're thrown off your game and you have to find ways, right, to get back in it. And so what happens is when we're unstructured, we have all these options, right? Because structure essentially kind of takes away options, and that, right? It's like bumper things on when you go bowling. It doesn't allow the bowl to go in the gutter, so you're always good. You're gonna hit some pins. And when we lose our structure as a student, it allows us now, we can go over here, we can go over there, we can do all these kind of things, and it can be overwhelming. And when you transition to college, you've gone from living in your parents' house where they're checking in on you, hey, you got to be in at this time, you're doing your homework, got to do all these kind of things, to now you're out in the dorms. And the dorms, y'all, the dorms should be renamed as like study doom. Forget dorms, they're called dooms now because they're dooming your studying. Because when you move into the dorms, and I moved into the dorms, like my triple occupancy was terrible, 2 water polo players, it's awful. But what was cool about the dorms is I was free. I was out of my parents' house, and you know what freedom means? I can do whatever I want. I wasn't allowed to eat junk food. I'm going to freaking Commons. I'm eating froyo straight out the thing, right? I'm staying up way too late every night having philosophical conversations like we on CNN. We're getting all deep and philosophizing, on intricacies of cinema and so forth late at night. But I would literally, as this process was going on, I had all this freedom, right? And it felt good. But what happened is when you have the option to do all these other things, studying immediately becomes painful. Why? Because everything else is immediately more fun, particularly when you are a bad student. Who knows what I'm talking about right now, guys? You understand what I'm saying? If you understand this place that I'm describing for you guys right now, hit a guilty in the box like Kasim did, or hit a like on this video right now. Let me know you understand what I'm saying right now, right? You feel that sense of, man, I can study, but nah, that's hard. I'd rather go outside. I'd rather go have a conversation. I'd rather go meet some ladies, right? Can we be honest? I live in Southern California. I want to go get out in the sunshine, go down to the beach before they spill all the oil on us, right? You start thinking about all those other things, and all those other things are immediately pleasurable, are immediately happy, joy feelings. Like, oh, I'm shaking it up. You feel all those things. Whereas studying, the problem with studying is that it's not an immediate gratification. In the moment, studying hurts. Like going to the gym, it hurts in the morning, but then when you walk out and you get that pump, it's nice, right? But it hurts to get in that gym. And it's the same way with studying. The reason studying hurts is because everything else, not that studying itself hurts, is that everything else feels so good. And so, what we have to do if we want to change how we look at studying, change how we feel about studying, and be more motivated for our studying, is that we have to reframe our lens of joy. And we have to get very clear on what that distant joy, that delayed gratification is going to be from that studying. And something that I did early on before I was actually good enough to make this happen that I would think about was I would put it this way. And you guys, if you guys are not great students, you can relate to this, is that I would sit down and I would visualize how it felt coming out of my last exam, how miserable, the heat on my neck, knowing fudgicles an F is about to come on my transcript, like knowing that heat, looking at the other students, some of them smiling, you're like, these mother, like, and you're angry because they're smiling and you're not smiling, you feel terrible, right? And you're thinking about, man, and you're angry. And I think about how terrible that feels. And then I think about when you have to go, right? And this is how old school I am. Back in my day, you guys all check your grades online. Back in my day, you literally had to go back to the lecture hall and it was posted on the lecture hall. That's how old school it was. It was a posted sheet with everybody's score on it, everybody's name and score. And eventually they stopped putting people's names. They realized people were looking at other people's names. And they started putting your student ID number. So your student ID number and your grade right next to it. And it would be so painful. I'm like, they did this on purpose. They're setting me up for the fall. Is they put the student IDs in the order of their grades. So it would go from like an A's at the top and all the way down there. And it would be so painful because of course you got hopes and dreams. Like, oh, I'm gonna be at the top, I'm gonna be at A, and all of a sudden your finger's going further and further and further down the page, and you're at the bottom. And your heart just sinks because you're like, oh my gosh, I felt terrible coming out, and I just had hope, like, oh, maybe I'm wrong, and then I'm exactly right. I did terrible on this exam, and it felt terrible. How many of you guys have felt that hurt, that anguish of bombing a test that was important? And every test early on feels important, but how many of you guys have had that feeling where you bombed a test that you felt like you needed? Man, dang, I needed this class. Chemistry, that's important to get into medical school. I need that class. You know, I'm gonna go to law school. This English class is important, right? Whatever it might be, this psych class, it's all important. It matters, right? And you fail it, and that pain is there. So now we've identified that pain and that hurt. I then want you to visualize how good it would feel to see your name at the top of that page. How good would it feel to walk away knowing, man, I got that A, I'm secure, I got this, I can move on with confidence. Oh, wait, if I get that A, that means I can get one more A and more A's. And then, you know, I can get into medical school and I can be a doctor. You know how pimp I'd be as a doctor? Who would I be? If I was a cast member on Grey's Anatomy, who would I be? Who do I identify with, right? How falsely fly am I as a physician? And we visualize that positive end game. And this may seem like a silly exercise, guys, but the difference, right, in how we visualize studying is based on the fact that studying is a delayed gratification activity. We're putting in work that is difficult, that is strenuous, so that we can get gratification, the outcome later on, the A, the white coat, and so forth. And so by doing this exercise, what we're doing is we're taking something that we've all experienced, particularly if you're a bad student, that letdown, that guilt, that remorse when you get a bad grade, and that's the negative part of it. That's a negative feeling snowball. And then we're making a positive feeling snowball of what it could be. And when you merge those two together, it becomes a powerful motivator to propel you like, dang, yeah, studying may hurt, but it doesn't hurt as bad as getting that F. Studying may hurt, but nah, man. Whew, man. You know what? Going outside right now and enjoying the sunshine, that sounds good. It would feel real good. But not good enough to make up for how bad I'll feel when I get that F. Ooh, when I got to spend summer school doing summer school. Oh, snap. Feel terrible, right? How your parents would look at you. What did Lily say? It's professor's fault for not teaching well at all. Some professors don't give a damn. They only care about their research. And Lily, I would agree and disagree with you. And this is one of the fundamental principles in the introduction to my course, the 5 pillars of studying less, getting better grades. The very first thing we talk about, y'all, my 5 pillars, people, what's the first thing we talk about? Do we blame the professor? No. If you fail, it is not the professor's fault. It is your fault. And I say that because we have to understand whose job is what. A professor's job is to facilitate your learning. It's to prophesize, right? It's to teach you. Your job is to learn and get the A. If they drop the ball on their job, you still are required to do your job, which is to learn and get the A. So it doesn't matter if you have bad teachers. And what's amazing to me, and why this is such a bad argument, we're going to spiral off for a second here, is that you will never, ever, 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 ever be able to control who your teacher is. And it turns out that most teachers are bad teachers. People often ask, hey, Dr. Pinesett, what separates you from a lot of other people? I'm a true educator. I teach from the perspective of the student. I understand what you guys need to learn to implement. I don't want to just talk to hear myself talk. I want you guys to get something and move forward. And there's a big difference. A lot of teachers don't teach well, and it's never going to change. And as you move through the ranks, teachers are going to get worse, most likely. It's still going to be up to you to learn what you got to learn and get the job done. So instead of focusing on that, again, right? Focus on what you can control. And we talk about this painful studying. Focus on that, y'all. Recognize the consequences of our actions, right? It may feel good to go to the beach, but then how miserable are you going to be after the beach when you still got to do that whole big book report? Terrible, terrible, terrible. If you guys understand what I'm saying right now, like this video right now, right now. Robert, what up? Right? Also, while we're on this topic, guys, did you guys know tomorrow night I'm hosting a free study webinar? Who wants to spend 2.5? I'm aiming for 2.5 hours, probably 3 hours. Who wants to spend 3 hours with me learning all about studying and how I went from being a terrible student to getting the A's and loving studying? I can't wait to study. Eat study for breakfast, y'all. Tomorrow night, make sure you guys register. I'll put a link in the box after this video. Register for the webinar, free webinar tomorrow. Spend 3 hours with me going hard on studying. So we'll do that tomorrow night. But if you guys are studying is painful, I won't belabor the point tonight. Get clear on the fact that studying is delayed gratification. Delayed gratification. How bad will it feel if you don't study? How good would it feel if you were that top student? And put those together. And then what's cool is once you start getting your study skills together by coming to my study webinar or getting in my 5 pillars course, right? I'm going to be giving away enrollment in my 5 pillars course during the webinar tomorrow. People show up. We're going to play Name That Tune, and whoever gets it right is going to get my course. Okay? Once you get great at studying, once you get competent, once you're able to start having some success, what's cool is you can make your motivation boundless. You can make your motivation limitless. Because then not only will you be visualizing what it would feel like to get an A, you'll be visualizing what actually has already happened and the good feelings you feel. And we forget what that's like, y'all. Like I can remember, like is in elementary school and in high school, being excited to go home to tell my parents I got an A, right when it happened. But in college, we lose that mix. But it's always amazing to go back to your parents and say, "Listen, I'm doing well." Right? How amazing would your parents feel when you become the doctor you aspire to be? And I can tell you, right? Like as someone who became that doctor, my family rolled deep. We had like 20 people. We're supposed to have like I think like 5. And I had like 20 people at my med school graduation because we rolled deep because everybody was so proud. That day, it was like a blur, but it was a moment that I'll treasure for forever because it was so surreal looking at my family. You could just see they were bursting at the seams with pride in what I had accomplished. And how great that feeling felt, man, man, it's immeasurable. No days at the beach can measure up. I know the beach is awesome. I love me some beach, uh, but nothing can measure up to that feeling, guys. And so that's what we're trying to juxtapose to is putting in perspective what that studying really means for your life and the greater joy it's going to bring you later on. My life's incredible. It's incredible, and it all came from the studying. You guys see, I got the Tesla roof going on right here, right? That's from studying. Studying paid for this Tesla roof. Think about that. When you're like, oh, I don't want to study, I'm not motivated. Man, how cool would it be to have a Tesla roof? Look up, see the sky. That's what studying does for you. All right. Someone asked what time is tomorrow's. Tomorrow's 5 p.m. We're going to break down a ton of stuff. I'm going to tell you guys how I transform my studying. 3 simple steps you guys can do. I'm also going to give you guys techniques. So someone asked, I always give you guys techniques. So on my webinar, we're going to go hard. I'm going to teach you guys my course conceptualization technique. So we talked about finding out high yield, right? We're talking about eliminating the professor, right? And not depending on the professor. Well, one of the things you have to be able to do to get rid of the professor is know what's high yield, know what's going to be on the test. So I'm going to teach you guys how to break down any course into its testable elements tomorrow, 5 p.m. Pacific time. Always Pacific time, y'all on the West Coast. So always 5 p.m. Okay. So it'll be 5 p.m. I'll put the link in the box below for you guys who want to come and hang out tomorrow and learn a ton. We're going to be going on. Someone I work with is right outside my window. messing around. They don't realize I'm live with you guys right now. They pop in here. Let's ignore them. All right. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Let's see, what is this? Yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll put the link in the box right after this, guys. If you enjoyed this video, take a second, like the video. If this is your first time with us, make sure you subscribe, turn on those live notifications, toggle that bell, so that way when I'm live action, you can be one of the first ones on here, like my people were today. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, 5 p.m. for this amazing study webinar. Keep coming back. If you guys want to check out my courses, my coaching, my website is thestudydoc.com, thestudydoc.com. Check it out. And everybody have a great evening. I'll see you guys tomorrow. How do we always end these videos? It is simply no excuses, just dominate.